Alright everyone, last piece of new content. Now we're applying reciprocal functions to practical situations. So this is basically saying what we're doing here. We're looking at practical situations that can be modeled in this form. And this is just one such practical situation. The time taken in hours for a road trip at speed s in kilometers per hour. So let's start filling everything in. We fill in the table of values simply by putting these values of s into this equation. And again, in the interest of time, I have already done it. But when you are answering these yourself, you will need to put them in your calculator. And now let's draw our graph. At 10, we're at 200. 20, we're at 100. No, I didn't make this scale very good, did I? 40, I guess, is about there. So 33 is about there. At 80, we're at 25. And then we come all the way down to 20. Alright, and let's just draw our curve. Something like that. How long would the road trip take if you were going 70 kilometers per hour the whole way? So, we just put in 70 here. And we see it took approximately 27 hours. By just reading off the point here. Alright, now let's look at part D. Why is it impossible to complete the road trip in 10 hours? To complete the road trip in 10 hours, you would need to travel the whole way at 200 kilometers an hour, which is, while not technically impossible, is very illegal, at least in Australia. So yeah, let's have a look at another one. Here we have the cost for each person that shares a pizza, which obviously depends on how many people eat the pizza. So let's fill in our table of values. And same as before, put our values down on our graph. And at 8, we are at 3. So now we just draw a curve. Right, and now let's look at our questions. What is the cost per person if 6 people are sharing a pizza? We can just read that from the table. For 6 people, the cost is $4 per person. Right, so for this one, we're going to need to look at our graph to see what the cost, how many people we would have when the cost is $2.40. So $2.40, let's say, is about here. Now it looks like actually the graph that we've drawn is not going to go low enough for us to figure that out. So we're actually going to have to just resort to using our formula. If the cost is equal to 24 divided by the number of people, and the cost is $2.40, then what we can do is we can just swap places of these two things. N equals, N equals 24 divided by 2.4, which equals 10. So you would need 10 people. Now, something that you may have noticed here is that we didn't really use our graph for anything. We were told to draw it, so we drew it. But we answered both of these questions without actually looking at the graph. We used just the formula in both cases. And that will sometimes be the case with questions in this unit. You will not necessarily need to use your graph. You might be able to get the answer using some algebra like we did over here. And that's fine. That's perfectly valid. But for the most part, you're going to be asked to draw the graph anyway. So where you can, it's a good idea to use the graph. Right, now you guys have just got some questions to practice. You can get started on that. Let me know if you need any help. Thanks, guys.